Wiggity wiggity whack, y'all. Word up. It's Word to the West, developed by Rain Games, developed on the Unity engine, priced at about 20 of your local currency of choice. What is it? Word to the West is a pulpy, cartoony, top-down action-adventure game inspired by European adventure comics. Take control of 4 unique characters: Lumina the Teslamancer, Knaus the orphan, Miss Teri the mindbender, and the gloriously mustachioed strongman Lord Clonington, each with their own motivations, skills, interweaving storylines as they seek to escape the dark shadow of an ancient prophecy. All right, well, it's facing the CHAIRQUISITION. They sent us some keys, so we're gonna review it. So let's face the CHAIRQUISITION. 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means meh. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good. 4 chairs means nipples. My lightning is shooting out of my nipples. That's how excited I am. We also got our categories of doom mixed with the working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So, Ven, how did World to the West work?
Well, world to your mother. How did it work on the Ubuntu 1604 LTS? Running an AMD 8150 powered by 980 NVIDIA, displayed at UHD. Didn't try it on this game. It is a Unity title, played it at 1080p. No glaring issues in launching and running, maintaining a solid 60 FERPs at 1080. Good on that. It could use some love in the anti-aliasing department. However, if this game was on a cartridge, it would have been recalled because bugs. Bugs everywhere. I mean, they're plentiful and vast, and you will encounter them no matter who you are. Even Strider would find them easily. And I'm not going to call any particular bug game-breaking, but they were definitely 100% attention-breaking. They will take you out of the game. Like getting permanently stuck under the ground after digging a hole. You can't come back up, then you got to save point that it's going to load you back 15 minutes ago. That's kind of tough to go through. And because of that, you're only going to get 3.
Yeah, there are some issues with this game. We'll get into that a little bit later. The one glaring one, though, is that if you're playing this with a non-XPad controller, you're going to have a bad time. And yeah, there are bugs everywhere. The game will just kind of stop working at points. Fortunately, you can reload. And fortunately, it's Unity, so if it gets too bad, you can always give it the old Alt F4 and nerve pinch. So on Fedora 24 64-bit, with an i7 6700K GTX 980, running this at UHD once you cut off VSync, and then it runs above 60 FPS. Sometimes, sort of. You get 3 chairs.
Yeah, no, over here you can totally tell it's a Unity game because it starts on the wrong screen, and the first thing you see is that dark blue screen of nothingness. Thankfully, it seems to remember which monitor is the right one after you just move the window to the right monitor and say, no, stay. And even though the options menu says that it's the resolution is 3840 by 1080, it actually remembers that it's just regular 1920 by 1080. So for me, for once, for a Unity game on the Ubuntu Mate 1604 with the FX8370E and the GTX 1080, it gets 4 chairs.
All right, well, that's 3 chairs for Mix with the Working. Up next is Shiny and Sounds Ven. Word up?
Yes, all the words to the ops. Hey, check this out. You're watching the video. It looks all right. If you're listening to this on audio like most of you are, go check out the video. The first thing you're going to notice, wow, they pretty much took Nintendo's color palette for this entire game. Yes, they did. And everything down to the little hat on the boy with a shovel. And the way it runs and the smoke clouds behind it. Very Mario. Is like Nintendo might sue somebody for this. That's what I was thinking. Then come to find out this is on the Wii U. It was like they must have negotiated that out. I don't know how that happened. Is it fugly? No. It's kind of a lighthearted, cartoonish style. Not cel-shaded, but again, not fugly. Simplistic, runs well enough, looks well enough. It does have background music. No voice acting to speak of whatsoever. It's like Nintendo from N64 days, man. Not even the when you're reading the stuff. It's just silence, go with that. Background music, take it or leave it. I didn't pay it any attention. Put on some Slayer, as is tradition. Nothing really stood out, but my eye pussies were not bleeding after 4 hours into this game, so I can't give it 2. I guess I can give it a solid 3 and stand behind that.
Oh yeah, no, the art style is a bit of all right. The monster design is going to be kind of cool. I like the looks of the grues and little mechanical lancy guys who have the shields. It's sort of a retro futuristic anachronism type thing, and I'm into it. I like the past future mashup stuff. I can't really think of anything that particularly stands out about the visual aesthetics, but they are consistent and they are fairly well done. It kind of reminds me a bit of like a much prettier Ego Boo, if you've ever played that. It's the open source game. There are some noises. There is a soundtrack, although I can't really tell you anything particularly memorable about it. I also muted it and threw on some podcasts so I could play through it and endure some of the puzzles, but we'll get to that. But for shiny and sounds, it does get 3 chairs.
Yeah, no, the cartoony look, I did not hate it at all. The background music, on the other hand, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Some areas have a really awesome upbeat tune, but others just have generic adventurous music, which sounds like budget Jeremy Soule. And I can't help but feel, considering that some of the segments of the game are very dialogue heavy, and between the playable characters and some of the other NPCs, I can't help but feel like voice acting would have made the playable characters feel less like chess pieces and more like actual characters, assuming it be done properly, of course. This is, they went for a deliberately campy style of dialogue with a couple of the characters especially. So if they had gotten a really good voice actor or 4 to play the different characters and really go whole hog with the campiness, I think that it would have improved it a little bit. But as it stands, it gets 3 chairs.
All right, well, that's 3 chairs for shiny and sounds. Up next is control. Then, can you point yourself in the right direction?
No, that is not possible. Well, what you do have is, this is definitely something. I'm holding up the X-Clone controller. These things over here for this game are clearly, should be labeled suggestion buttons, because that's definitely what they are, Brad. Yes, they are. Unfortunately, the suggestions fall on deaf ears when you're forced to defend yourself in this game, or at any point in this game where more than one action might be required in the same 3-second period. It just can't handle that. It's spot luck whether or not things get registered. But that's not even the biggest issue we have with the controls in this game. No, nay. You see what they did? It's you're looking at it. It's kind of like, I think Maddie said, oh, it looks a little bit like a top-down budget Wind Waker Zelda game. Kinda. Yeah, I can definitely see that. But with that game, you could rotate the camera, pan around, in this 3D platformish type area. Can you do this? No. Nope. You just absolutely can't. You see, they've actually created a 3D adventure game without any sort of camera rotation. And that sounds like some sadistic shit I would come up with for Brick Simulator 2. Shadow of Mortar. Stay tuned for that later on. What the fuck, actually? I mean, you can pan up, down, left, right with the camera, but there's so many times this would be a lot simpler if I could just rotate the camera. Even the Sega, the game on the PlayStation 2, you could Disgaea, whatever the hell it's called. The game Jordan plays 900 hours of. You could block rotate in 4 quadrants. Nope, I don't understand. That's not being edgy. That's just bad game design for your controls. Outside of that, you can technically move. Sometimes the buttons work when you can press them. So that's not 1 chair. But damn, you're only getting 2.
Yeah, see, I like using this guy right here. This is the PlayStation 4 DualShock controller. I've grown to like it. It fits comfortably in my hands. It has buttons placed in the right area. The one thing I don't like is if you're hammering on the trigger button, sometimes it digs into your hand, but whatever. It does not work with World to the West. No, sir. You can move around. You can pan the camera. And that's about it. And if you go into the remapping controller screen of lies, it says that you can maybe remap your controls, but you can't. It does not stick at all, even if you save it. So that is not doing it any favors. Fortunately, I got my old... Well, I had that DualShock before.
Not anymore, you don't.
Not anymore. I got this Xbox controller here that I've had for years, and I've beat the crap out of, busted and reassembled it many a time, and everything worked. The control layout is proper fuck, though. The B button is your interaction button. A button is attack. The X button is something, depends on your character. And Y, just Y. Your left trigger will also cause you to run left. Or no, it was the right trigger that causes you to run right. That's what it was. And you think, oh, can you do that with the left trigger? Nope.
No. Well, your down D-pad causes you to run right, I think.
Oh yes, this is true. You think sometimes when you want to aim in this game, you want to switch to the D-pad just to get some precision. Nope, aiming in this game eats a big old bag of dicks. It will point you in some direction it thinks you're intending to go to, which is often the wrong direction, and will send you flying off a cliff. It would also be nice if the context-sensitive menus had a bit more margin of errors. There's this area where you have to like ride on some frog monster. I didn't even realize you could do that until it was in the correct. I was in the correct location in relation to the character. They didn't really imply this in the dialogue, or maybe they did. I kind of skipped past it. But yeah, that gets kind of annoying kind of quickly. There's also a definite delay between when you press a button and the action happening. So sometimes if you want to chain a specific set of actions, it fails miserably and you end up flying off a cliff and losing your little hearts. I mean, it's playable. It's not exactly busted, but you're going to be fighting with the controls constantly, and that's going to impact the next section, but we'll save that till then. 2 chairs.
Oh my fucking fuck. Seriously, what the hell happened? Now, the default mouse controls, if you want to use keyboard and mouse, you move the characters around Diablo style. You use the mouse, you put the little cursor where you want them to go, and you click. Or you hold down to click and you move the mouse about to get him to move around. So I thought, okay, that's a little bit odd, but hey, let's try the Steam controller. I tried the Steam controller, it wasn't bound. Like, it didn't respond. None of the buttons on my mistress here were bound to anything by default. So I started binding everything. It's fine. It eventually started working, and to its credit, it did an alright job. But I felt like, okay, so if you want to be precise, you kind of do have to use mouse and keyboard so you can put that cursor, admittedly a very hard to see cursor, where you want the character to go. Until that also brought up another bug, which admittedly they fixed now, but until Friday, yesterday at the time of recording, if you use Knaus's ice skating ability, it would just shoot you off in some random direction rather than where the cursor was, if you were playing with the mouse. Now, they fixed that, but the only way I had to work around it was to actually start playing with the Steam controller. What they didn't fix was the unresponsiveness that often got me killed, or at least had me taking stupid damage because the characters would outright ignore button presses. I get that they were going for a limited movement and obstacle traversing type of thing. Each area very dependent on the abilities that each character has. But the lack of jump in an exploration Metroidvania type isometric game doesn't really feel right. And with the unresponsive controls, it's even worse. And like Vin already mentioned, the not being allowed rotating the camera, it can get a bit annoying, so for controls, it gets 2 chairs.
All right, well, that is 2 chairs for the controls section. Let's head on over to fun and bring this home. Ben, did you have fun playing World of the West?
Fuck no. I mean, hang on. Stay tuned for my mysterious reveal. You know what? This game really needs to, at very least, attempt to explain what and or why I'm doing something. You know, for an example, when I was typing this out, I was running around in a cave opening what you could best describe as like light plants. They just open up and they're full of shit that's not dark. No direction. And it just kind of drops you in a fucking hole. No idea why I need to open these things. Should I be opening them? Is there a count number for that? Or do they need opening period? Is this a bad idea? Then again, you know, this is from the same company that decided to make a 3D platformer without the ability to jump. Fascinating, really. Brave, but genuinely a bad idea, because currently I'm 4 hours in, not even done with the tutorial. Now, I know you're saying, but old man Vin, You're not a clever man. To which I'll say, I completely agree with that. But this has nothing to do with my cleverness. Pedro, 4 hours in, he still was not done with a fucking tutorial in this damn game.
It took me 6 of them.
Right. And check this out. Friday, I had nothing to do on Friday. Not really, but it was pretty damn close. Little as makes no difference to do nothing more than just to put some time into this game. Turns out, most of Friday, I ended up favoring the nothing over coming back and playing this little monstrosity. And again, I've not reached the Avengers Assemble moment at those 4 hours where your first set of 2 characters, your second set of 2 characters, and whatever more characters keep coming on. And you know what? You should have just tightened that shit up, son. There should be 4 hours in, and you're still trying to explain this shit to me. I don't know what the target demo was. People like brain damaged emus with dyslexia, on a meth bench that are blind. Maybe that was the learning curve you were going. I fucking understood every single thing about every single character in 3 minutes flat. And again, not a clever man. Hell, you could have just cut this business down to an hour with all of these characters and, got the A-team together and add some story, make me give a fuck about what's going on versus just the endless wandering followed by solving the occasional puzzle, followed by more random wandering, which is still kind of followed by what... You get the idea. That's what you're going to be doing. I kind of just accidentally summarized the entirety of World to the Vest because that's the entire game. That's it. Okay, they're going to throw in a boss fight every now and then, but outside of that, you get your characters, you go run this character to the next totem pole, then you go, fuck, now I got to take this character to... You do that 2 or 3 times. Hey, look, puzzle. Repeat. Yeah. Fuck this game. Sorry. Listen, you didn't do a bad job on it. You had some ideas. Doing something like this without the ability to jump. Maybe that was a good idea to start with, but the entire time you're playing something like this going, you know what? I could solve all of this bullshit if I could just jump. That would make me a much happier panda. But unfortunately, this did not deliver. And again, 4 hours. It takes us 4 hours to do a 1 hour show. Apparently, it's going to take you 30 to do a 3 hour game. So, 1 chair.
I mean, there is a good game in here. I like the Double Fine game, the cave style puzzles where you need to make your dudes cooperate to progress. And I get the introduction thing where they're going for the Thimbleweed Park setup, where you get, or the sorcerer where you see everyone sort of in their own isolated story, and it all sort of comes together later. I can appreciate that. What I don't like is the mindless backtracking, because when you start realizing, oh, hey, I need to unlock characters. Oh, hey, character X can do these things and can bypass these obstacles. When you start seeing them while exploring the game, you don't think, hey, I got a new area to explore. You think, oh, fuck, now I got to backtrack here and go through the entire freaking stage again and again and again and again. And the whole 6 hours for the tutorial thing. I get that some games have a slow burn, but dear Lord, this game just drags its freaking heels. The controls don't do this game any favors either, because I just find it frustrating when it's I understand what I need to do. The difficulty from this game stems from the fact that you're either fighting the controls to accomplish what you set out to do, which is actually a relatively simple task, or you didn't go to that one corner of the map where there's that one raised platform that lets you do that thing that you need to do. And the maps look huge. Apparently you get some open world thing. I haven't gotten to that just yet. But it seems like it would be really cool to sort of be able to explore the entire thing Hollow Knight style. But you don't get that. But there's no jackwaying. You don't loop back around and find shortcuts. You open up passages for other characters so that you can do their puzzles in the area. And it's just not all that fun. I mean, there are some enjoyable bits. The different character abilities are fine. Some of them seem significantly more powerful than others. The Alexander Louise Armstrong dude just beats the ever-loving shit out of everything. And you can take over monsters with Miss Whippy dude. And you can use those to kill everyone. But all the monsters respawn. That's the other thing. You think you clear out an area. It's like, no, there needs to be some artificial difficulty here. So we're just going to keep spawning monsters until you solve the puzzle. I don't know. If the game picked up the pace, if the controls were a lot tighter, and if there was actually some sense of like forward momentum, I would probably spend more time with the game than I have. I've dumped about 4.5 hours in there. I got to a boss fight and I'm just like, I just don't care anymore. I could figure this out and beat them, but I don't want to. This is supposed to be the indirect sequel to Teslagrad or whatever, and I never really played all that much of it, so there may be some value to playing these two games. I don't know. I'll give it 2 chairs. It's mediocre. It could have been really good, but it's just boring now in this current incarnation.
I honestly don't mind the fact that the game doesn't really tell you much in the way of what to do. Instead, it has a 6-hour-long tutorial until the mysterious old lady then basically tells you, now that you've learned all the necessary skills in order to progress the hard way, here's the big open world, and here's where you need to go to make the story happen. Do what you want, figure it out, I'm out. And this is a point where you will have to traverse the world, and while I do agree with Ven that this is very much a 3D platformer without a jumping ability, I also get what they were going for. As the indirect sequel to Teslagrad, and seeing as it was made by the exact same people, it retains the same Metroidvania unlocking skills to be able to progress style of gameplay, but handed to you in a different style. It's not a 2D platformer, it's an isometric 3D platformer. And even though there's no jumping, they doubled down on that decision and crafted the levels to be navigated with just the chess-piece style abilities of each of the characters in mind. To be fair though, during that 6-hour tutorials, all of the areas I could access with the 1 or 2 characters I had available at the time, none of those bits had anything that made me want to go back once I unlocked the full lineup. So that's a negative. You literally just created entire sections of maps that I can't be bothered with. The thing that saves this game, in my not-so-humble opinion, is the show, don't tell approach to letting you, the player, figure out how to make progress in the admittedly well-crafted puzzles. Because make no mistake, the platforming puzzles in World to the West get a whole new level of how the fuck do I get up there when you can't jump? But these puzzles are not obtuse. The game gives you everything you need to figure it out. It gives you the time you need to figure it out and just lets you fail miserably over and over so you can learn what you need to do. I could almost give it 4 chairs here weren't it for the fact that in those precision platforming bits, it simply didn't register the admittedly few needed key presses in order for me to progress. So, yeah, 3 chairs.
All right, well, that is 2 chairs for fun. If we tally all this up, World to the West gets 2 whole chairs, which is, I'm not sure if want on the CHAIRQUISITION. If it's your bag, check it out. Gentlemen, final thoughts.
This was the studio's first attempt at 3D. They didn't do a bad job for a first attempt, but this definitely needed to have baked. They needed somebody to walk in there and cut some shit out before they shipped it because it's just too stretched out. A lot of people, I do mean a lot of people, will probably never get to the open world bit because they don't have a 4+ hour time sink to get through the introduction of a game. That's just ridiculous. And I'm not talking about, oh, squirrel, can't deal with it. Listen, I'm 5 hours into Hollow Knight. And that's me. You know, I can sit down for 6 minutes at a time before I gotta do something. There's nothing in there for those 4 to 6 hours to really hold your attention other than, fuck, this thing's got so many bugs in it. And man, I really wish the controls worked. That would make it a lot less challenging.
Yeah, no, if you're going to remove my ability to jump in a game that screams platformer, you better go whole hog and do it right. And as far as the game mechanics themselves go, World to the West does it right. It just needs tighter controls, much tighter controls, and a generous coating of Bagon.
Y'all need to get yourself some SDL2, motherfuckers. It will make your control issues go away, and will actually make controller support really, really easy.